Welcome folks to a new series for the channel where I will be diving into the factions of Infinity Code 1 in a slightly different way. We're not going to focus on the lore in any real depth, and we're not going to do a deep dive into the tactica of each particular unit within a faction. No, the aim instead is to create something that functions somewhat like a beginner's buying guide to each particular faction, based around Code 1, which is of course the beginner version of Infinity. So we'll be showing pictures of the units, we'll be giving a basic explanation of their battlefield role, and I'll also be talking about where you can find them, what products those units are included in. There's currently 6 factions available in Code 1 with Code 1 rules written for them. However, Ariadne and Nomads are the 2 newest, and as such, they don't have the most fleshed out product line just yet for specifically Code 1 compatible stuff. With that in mind, those are the 2 factions that I will be leaving until last as part of this series. As well as that, I am also going to skip the mercenaries, those that will fight for multiple different factions, the named characters and the like. And that's mostly because we can probably do a separate video that just covers them and details which factions they will fight for. However, that still gives us 4 entire juicy factions to get on with, so let's make a start with Pan O. Pan Oceania, the hyperpower. A capitalist, democratic nation run by multiple megacorporations. It's the wealthiest nation in the human sphere and encompasses 5 planets. Neoterra, the first planet colonized. Acontecimento, Varuna, Svalaheimer, and they even remain a powerful faction back on Earth. Pan Oceania is a melting pot of cultures, encompassing large regions of South America, Australia, New Zealand, India, the Philippines, and the Indonesian archipel. Pan-Oceanian society is the most technologically sophisticated, and it shows in its armies. As the biggest nation in the human sphere, Pan-Oceania has a lot of influential political power. Its thriving economy and cultural presence drives their eagerness for expansion. So with the faction introduced, now we can start breaking down which units are available in Code 1, and I can start to give you some ideas on where you can get your hands on them. Fusiliers are the bread and butter troops of Pan Oceania in Code 1. They have a comparable stat line to the similar troops of other armies and are often looked at as cheap filler. However, Fusiliers can also offer a very low points cost missile launcher, hacker, paramedic, or even lieutenant if your list calls for such inclusions. You'll find Fusiliers in the Operation Cowstrom box, which, although not the latest, is still widely available. You'll also find them in a separate Fusiliers box of their own, which includes some of the non-combi rifle variants. They do crop up in other places too, like the Pan O paint set, and eBay can be a great source for finding them individually. Calis are a parachutist trooper, meaning they have increased deployment range through use of their combat drop mechanic. They're also medium infantry, meaning as well as better armour, we see an improved stat line over the Fusiliers. They don't have as wide a range of options though, and you're limited to 3 in your army. They do cost more points per unit as well, important things to bear in mind. You'll find the pictured Akali with Spitfire in his own blister pack, however Booster Pack Alpha also offers a combi rifle version. At the time of making this video, I was unable to find a boarding shotgun model, but proxying it is more than fine. Nisses are a medium stealth infantry. They have mimetism -3, making them harder to hit in shooting, as well as multispectral visor level 2, which makes them excellent against enemy units with mimetism. Points wise, they're taking up at least 1/10 of your army typically in Code 1, but they are a dangerous unit. You're limited to 2 in your list. You'll find the heavy machine gun and hacker variants in their own blister pack. However, if you fancy the sniper variant, you'll find that one in Pan Oceania Booster Pack Beta. Orc troops are the first heavy infantry we've seen yet, and Orcs are a staple in many Pan O lists, and heavy infantry in general is a thing that Pan O just do well. Orcs offer a ton of loadout options, including 2 different flavours of lieutenant. They have multiple wounds, fantastic stats and great armour, however don't be fooled into thinking they're invincible. As heavy infantry they are hackable, meaning your opponent can disable them from a distance. You're limited to 3 in your list too. You'll find an Orc with multi-rifle in the Operation Cowstrom box. However, there's also a mixed variety in their own Orc Troopers pack. The Varuna starter pack, as well as containing other Code 1 compatible units, also hosts a beautiful Feuerback variant too. Aside from being a little slower, Azula Guard could easily be seen as a strict upgrade to the Orc Troopers, with a universally increased stat line and multispectral visor level 3. They're both hard to put down and very well equipped to counter enemy stealth troops. However, they are expensive at 4.5 to 5 points, and you only get one per list. Include one for sure, just be prepared to wince when it inevitably dies to a lucky shot. Currently, the only Azula Guard model I can find is in Pan Oceania Booster Pack Beta, and is this variant with heavy machine gun. There are, however, older sculpts with other loadouts that you may be able to track down secondhand. Another heavy infantry unit for Pano, and this one is a beast. With a very similar stat line to Azula Guard, but even more armour. Things are already looking good. However, add to that surprise attack and camouflage, as well as mimetism -6, and you also have an insane stealth trooper. Hard to kill and great at killing, it's little surprise that these are 1 per list, and a whopping 6 points of your maximum of 30. Also, remember, as heavy infantry, they are hackable. As of making this video, the only current Swiss Guard comes in Pano Booster Pack Alpha. However, once again, there are older sculpts that you'll be able to track down secondhand, and new ones will definitely be in the pipeline. Cutters are the tags of Pan Oceania in Code 1. And what's a tag, you say? Well, it's a bloody ginormous suit of battle armour that bristles with weapons and specialises in laying down the hurt. What makes Cutters particularly scary even for tags is that they have a bevy of special skills tacked on, +1 damage in shooting, camouflage and surprise attack, as well as mimetism -6. The Cutter is scary as hell and hard to kill. However, once again, they are hackable and they take up a chunk of list space at 9 points. Use them with caution. The Cutters, and indeed all tags in Code 1, come in their own box. They're one of the more expensive single purchases you'll make in Infinity, but well worth it in my opinion for their imposing look and fun painting challenge. Crocmen are skirmishers, which I could forgive you for finding confusing in a game that is referred to widely as a skirmish game. Essentially, their skill set is similar to a stealth trooper with camouflage, mimetism and surprise attack. However, they also have infiltration, allowing them to deploy anywhere on your half of the table in a nice forward position. They're a mine-laying unit and can play a sniper role too, so they're excellent for harassing an advancing opponent. They do have very light armour though, so be careful with them. Currently you'll find Crocmen in both Pano Booster Pack Alpha and the Varuna Starter Pack. Once again, reminding us that there are plenty of Code 1 compatible units that don't actually come in Code 1 branded boxes. Trauma Docs are Pano's cheap doctor unit with both the doctor skill and a medikit. They are honestly exactly what they sound like. A low points cost way to get some healing into your list. They're fragile, but they also add little cost to your list. You can find a Trauma Doc in Pan O Support Pack bundled with our next unit, which is the Machinist. Machinists are almost identical to Trauma Docs in their application. They're another cheap healer unit, but this time designed to heal things like tags, which have a structure stat instead of a wound stat. There's a Machinist packed in with the Trauma Doc in the Pano Support Pack. These little robots are the buddies of the Machinists and Trauma Docs. They're cheap and they copy the actions of their controller, which means the Doc and the Machinist can apply their skills from cover without exposing themselves to danger. They're also cheap at half a point and don't count towards the 10 model limit in Code 1 because they don't generate orders. Also, don't forget they are hackable. Once again, you'll find Palbots as part of the Pan O Starter Pack. Okay, the Army app lists these as 4 separate entries, but since they all have the same stat line and just differing equipment, we'll list them here together. These are our remotes for Pano, essentially little robots who are outfitted to perform various tasks. There's one that can fulfill the specialist operative role. There's one with 360-degree vision and a heavy machine gun that can fire its full burst rate even when in arrow. That's very scary. There's one with a little missile launcher that can get bonuses to hit from your hackers painting targets for it. And there's a stealthy, sneaky one. Remember, however, that your remotes can be hacked. They're not all upside. The drone bots are boxed in their own DroneBot remotes pack. Nice and easy. Kamau are like elite stealth light infantry, who all benefit from mimetism -3. They're a little more expensive points-wise than other light infantry, but with biotechnical shield of 6, a good range of weapons and equipment, and that handy mimetism, they may just be what you're looking for. You are, however, limited to 2 per list. You'll find the hacker variant in the Pan Booster Pack Beta, and that Varuna starter set cropping up again also contains 3 other variants. Honestly, these guys kinda scare the crap out of me. They're 2.5 to 3 points for a unit with infiltration, mimetism -6, and one of the options includes a double action combi weapon. Why is that scary? Well, double action weapons do damage twice for each successful hit, and this unit has a close combat value of 20. It's a mercy to your opponents, to be honest, that you're only allowed 1, because on paper at least, this thing is a terror. You'll find the Marksman variant in Beyond Kaldstrom, a great value expansion box, and there's also a Hacker variant in a standalone blister. Knockin are another stealthy forward deploying unit, but with loadouts pushed more towards doing the things rather than killing the people. They're a fairly points effective way to help with completing some of your less killy objectives. They're also fairly survivable thanks to mimetism -6, so long as they don't encounter any multispectral visors. Currently, their only model available that I could find is a boarding shotgun variant in Operation Kaldstrom. The Varg are another medium infantry option for Pano. Their unique selling point, however, is that they have an interesting movement ability called Super Jump. This lets them use jump as if it were a short movement skill, giving them not only some added mobility, but the ability to jump and shoot in the same order, which is interesting. They're also fairly cheap and pretty well statted. You'll find a Spitfire Varg in Beyond Kaldstrom. Infirmaries are another unit that really rather scares me. You see, they're doctors, which is great, but they also have a CC value of 20 and a monofilament close combat weapon. If these chaps make it into combat, they're quite capable of taking down some horrendously beefy units. The good news for your opponent is that with armor value 2 and 4/4 movement, they take a while to get there and you do have every chance of stopping them. You'll find an Infirmary in Operation Kaldstrom and another in the Military Orders Action Pack, which is another boxed sectorial army for N4, which again contains some Code 1 compatible units. Knights of Justice are another tanky close combat unit, all armed with those pesky dual action weapons and with a whopping 23 close combat value. You're also allowed 2 in your list, meaning they're a great option for providing just a scary, advancing terror platform, which your opponent will want to deal with before it gets into combat. They're a little costly, mind, at 4.5 to 5 points, and again, heavy infantry does mean they're hackable. You'll need to play them well to maximise their effectiveness. You'll find a Knight of Justice in Operation Kaldstrom and another in the Military Orders Action Pack. The Boix Soldiers are another heavy infantry unit, and as such have the usual tanky attributes of multiple wounds and good armour. However, they have a couple of really cool USPs. They get to fire an extra shot when making a BS attack, which is fun. However, they're also great at dodging, needing to roll 16 or under in most circumstances. As a cherry on top, that dodge lets them move 3 inches instead of 2, which is a handy bonus if you like to tactically use your dodges to get extra free movement in the reactive turn. Usual heavy infantry hacking dangers do apply here, and you're only allowed a maximum of 2. You'll find a Boig with missile launcher in Beyond Kaldstrom, and currently that's about it. Although, again, don't be afraid to check places like eBay. So not including the mercenary characters that will fight for multiple factions, that about rounds up what's available for Pan O in Code 1. You'll have probably noticed from what we've gone over today that they're a pretty good killy army with some excellent stealth and forward deploying options also. They have tons of really robust options as well, meaning at least on paper they should be able to play stand and shoot fairly well. So I hope this has provided you with some good insight into what's available for Pan O in Code 1, roughly what those units do, and where you can track them down. As this is a new series, I would ask that if you'd like to see this expanded to include N4 as well, do let me know in the comments below. I'd love some feedback on how you found this as the pilot for this series, and anything that you think I should include in future episodes. So until the next one, folks, don't forget to like and subscribe, and do please check the links in the description if you'd like some ways to provide your support to the channel. I'd like to thank you all for watching and wish you happy hobbying. I will see you in the next one, folks. So bye-bye for now.